Imagine you're in a Spanish-speaking country and you want to order food, ask for directions, or just make friends, but all you know how to say is hola. What if I told you that by the end of this video, you could confidently speak using over 100 everyday sentences in Spanish? No boring grammar lessons, no memorizing random words. Also, I'd like to let you know that we have a free PDF in the description of this lesson with these phrases and all their translations into English, so check that out by clicking the link in the video description. First, I want to say, I didn't even want to learn Spanish in the first place. So if you are here watching this video, you're at a big advantage because I was 14 when I started learning. I've been learning for 10 years now. I'm currently 24. And before I started taking lessons, I didn't think about Spanish. I didn't care about Spanish. I didn't want to learn Spanish. Everyone had told me how horrible Spanish classes were. But now here I am 10 years later teaching you how to speak Spanish. So there is hope and you can do this. Let's get into it. First we have hola, ¿cómo estás? The most important thing you could know in Spanish. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Hi, how are you? Now, I underlined here because I want you to understand the reason we put an accent mark over this a is because in Spanish, typically the natural emphasis on a word comes on the second to last vowel, which technically in this case would be e, okay? But if I say estas, it means these. It completely changes the meaning. So, estas versus estás. Hola, ¿cómo estás? I'd also like to say that estás is informal. If it were está, it would be formal, coming from the usted form. Now, in this video, we're not going to go over it, but I have other lessons on this channel covering that, and you can also learn more about how to use usted versus tú in my Fluent Spanish Speaker Academy on my website, SpanishMade.com. Next, we have buenos días, good morning. Buenos días. Now, I underlined this because notice how it's not buenos días, it's buenos días. Why is this? It's just because el día or los días in Spanish are masculine. Why? It's just the way it is. Next, buenas tardes. Buenas tardes, okay? Now notice how this one is feminine. Buenas tardes, la tarde, okay? Good afternoon. Buenas noches. Buenas noches, also feminine. La noche, the night is feminine. Buenas noches. Next, I have a fun one here for you. ¿Qué onda? Okay, now this is more informal. This means what's up. For example, this morning I went climbing at a climbing gym here in Mexico City and I saw my friend Miguel. And the first thing I said to him was, Miguel, ¿qué onda? ¿Cómo estás? All right. Now, onda literally means wave, like a microwave, which is why I put the little wave there. Me llamo, okay? Me llamo. My name is, or literally translated to, I call myself. Me llamo. Now, you could also put the subject pronoun there, yo me llamo, but you don't need to because we understand you're talking about you when we see the me and the o here, llamo, the present tense conjugation. We won't go into conjugation rules in this lesson, but like I said, you can find more lessons like this on my YouTube channel and also on my website, SpanishMade.com. Mucho gusto, literally meaning much pleasure, but it means nice to meet you. Mucho gusto. Now, this is pretty much what I always say, but if you want to be a little bit more formal, you could say something like encantado, encantado, which literally means enchanted, okay? But I always say mucho gusto, nice to meet you. ¿De dónde eres? ¿De dónde eres? Okay, where are you from? Literally translating to, of where are you? Now, I underlined this here because notice the little accent mark on the O, okay? Now, you might be wondering, why is there an accent mark? Because technically this O is the second to last vowel in the word. So the natural emphasis should already be there. Why are we putting an accent there? The reason is because when we ask questions, we will put accent marks on words like ¿dónde?, ¿cómo?, ¿qué?, for example, okay? So that's just letting us know that it's a question. Now, the only difference there's no change in pronunciation, okay? The only difference is that little accent mark, and it just lets us know in writing, hey, we're asking a question. ¿Me puedes ayudar? ¿Me puedes ayudar? Can you help me? Me representing me, which is an object pronoun. We won't get into it in this lesson, but these are very, very important to know. So I recommend you look these up. Direct and indirect object pronouns. These are awesome, very fun concept in Spanish. ¿Dónde está el baño? ¿Dónde está el baño? Where is the bathroom? One of the most important phrases to know in Spanish. ¿Dónde está el baño? Okay. Once again, it's not going to be esta, it'll be está. Whereas with the accent, it'll be is. ¿Dónde está el baño? No entiendo. No entiendo. I don't understand. Sometimes my dad, when he would try to practice Spanish with me, he would say, no comprendo. Okay, no comprendo. And that's fine, you can say it. However, that means I don't comprehend. And it's more common to hear, no entiendo. I don't understand. ¿Puedes repetir eso? Can you repeat that? Now, if we want to be more formal, we can cut off the S and just say puede. Okay? Now, I underlined the little question mark here because while technically you are supposed to put this here, oftentimes when native Spanish speakers text each other, for example, because nowadays people oftentimes don't write letters, when you're texting someone in Spanish, it's very common they won't put the question mark here, okay? So, of course, it's good that you learn this, but for example, when I text with my girlfriend who's from Mexico, I never will send her a question like this. I will only put this little question mark here, okay? It's just a little bit more formal, casual, informal way and casual way of speaking. Now, eso means that. Don't get this confused with the masculine word because it's not. This is the neuter, okay? So we have ese, meaning that, which is masculine, esa, which is feminine, okay, meaning that, and eso, which is the neuter in Spanish. We won't get into the details, but the idea is, ¿qué es eso? What is that? It's a general thing. We don't know what specifically it is, but it's the general that, okay? Versus esa botella, that bottle. ¿Hablas inglés? Do you speak English? ¿Hablas inglés? Now, once again, notice how we have the accent mark here. And this is important because here, if there was no accent, then naturally it would fall on here, the second to last vowel, which is technically the E in this case, or I, okay? So it would be inglés, which sounds weird. So we say inglés, okay? That accent changing the pronunciation. Estoy perdido. I'm lost. Estoy perdido. Now, I underlined estoy because this is coming from the verb estar, meaning to be. Now, please understand that this is temporary. We wouldn't say soy perdido. Soy perdido would also literally translate to I am lost, but that would mean you are lost as a person. You are lost in life, for example. But in here, this is a temporary thing, okay? We're talking about location. I am lost. Estoy perdido. ¿Cuánto cuesta? Very good one to know. ¿Cuánto cuesta? How much does it cost? ¿Cuánto cuesta? How much does it cost? How much is it? For example, necesito un taxi. I need a taxi. Necesito un taxi. ¿A qué hora abre? O ¿a qué hora cierra? So what time does it open? And what time does it close? And notice how we have at. At what time does it close? Next we have es una emergencia. Now, I underlined these little vowels here because the vowels will have the biggest impact on your pronunciation in Spanish. I just released a video about this, so I recommend you go check it out. We have es una emergencia. It's an emergency. So it's not emergencia, emergencia, okay, it's emergencia. Okay, really focus on the vowel sounds, okay? It's gonna make your accent sound much better. Next we have por favor. Por favor, literally translating to for favor, okay, please. Gracias, thank you. A little fun fact for you, gracias actually literally translates to graces. Very interesting, okay? So gracia would be grace. De nada, you're welcome. De nada. De nada, literally of nothing. De nada, okay? We also have the phrase no hay de qué. No hay de qué, to say you're welcome. Or don't mention it. Perdón, perdón. Okay, notice how there's an accent over the O. So it's not perdón, it's perdón. Okay, because normally that natural emphasis falls here on the second to last vowel. Okay, perdón. So this can mean sorry, this can mean pardon. Okay, con permiso. Con permiso, excuse me. Now this is when you're trying to get around someone, for example, and you know they might be in the way and you're saying con permiso, excuse me. Okay, I literally said that to someone this morning. Okay, con permiso. Okay, you can also just say permiso as well. Disculpa, okay, disculpa. Now this one means excuse me as well, but now you're asking for someone's attention. So you're saying, hey, excuse me, disculpa, lo siento, okay, lo siento, I'm sorry. This one is more like a really profound way to say I'm so sorry, lo siento mucho, I'm sorry, lo siento. Literally translating to I feel it, okay? Siento meaning I feel, lo meaning it. This is the masculine, okay? This is a direct object pronoun. Now, when I say it like this, puedo, it means can I or may I, for example. Let's say there's a cute dog and you want to pet it. You say, puedo? Claro, amigo, adelante. Okay? Now, notice how the meaning can change just because now it's a question. So if I were to cut these off and now it's just puedo, that means I can. Okay? Puedo leer. Okay? I can read. Está bien. Okay? Está bien is an awesome phrase. I use it all the time. This means it's okay or okay. So, hey, do you want to go to the park with me? Sí, está bien. Yeah, okay, sure, está bien, okay? Or, hey, do you want to try this pizza? No, está bien. No, that's okay, thanks. Or, it's okay, thanks, okay? No pasa nada, okay? No pasa nada means literally nothing is happening, okay? But the idea here is, hey, like, all good, no worries. No pasa nada, all good. My good friend Jacob, who plays Hawk on the Netflix show Cobra Kai, came down to Mexico City and hung out with me last year, and we went to Formula One. And I remember after the event, we went and we got tacos. And for some reason, this kind of came up, and I ended up teaching him the phrase, no pasa nada. And he proceeded to say this phrase 10 million more times, okay? It's a really fun one. No pasa nada. No pasa nada. Hey, all good. ¿Qué recomiendas? ¿Qué recomiendas? Notice how on this first R, we're rolling it. Okay, so even though it's a singular R, when a word starts with a singular R, we roll it. Okay, quiero, I want. Now, I underlined the O here because notice how I don't have to put the subject pronoun. I don't have to say yo quiero, I want. I can just say quiero because based off of my understanding of conjugation rules in Spanish, I know that when this word, querer, which is the infinitive ER verb meaning to want, when it ends in O, that means, all right, I want, okay? So if I change it to quieres, then it would be you want. Quiere would be él, ella, usted wants, for example. Quiero, I want. Me gustaría, okay? This is a similar idea. Me gustaría. This means I would like. Now, gustar can be a confusing verb for us in Spanish, so I recommend you check out the lessons I have on that. And this is what we call the conditional tense, okay? So, for example, si yo fuera rico, me gustaría viajar por el mundo. If I were rich, I would like to travel the world. Okay, the idea is it's a conditional thing. Me gustaría, I would like. Una mesa para dos. A table for two. Una mesa para dos. Now, here in Mexico City, if you go to a restaurant, oftentimes they'll ask you, ¿cuántas personas son? But typically they say, ¿cuántos son? Meaning, how many of there are you? And then you can say something like, somos dos, or una mesa para dos, por favor, okay? La cuenta, por favor. The bill, please. La cuenta, por favor, okay? You can also say, me trae la cuenta, por favor. When we say, me trae, okay, that is a way to command someone in a more polite way. And finally, we have, ¿tienes opciones vegetarianas? ¿Tienes opciones vegetarianas? Which is good for me. If you didn't know, I've been vegetarian for a long time now. So this is a really good thing to know. This phrase is very, very important. Sin picante. Especially if you're here in Mexico. Sin picante, meaning without spice or no spicy, please. Sin picante, por favor. It is very probable that they will say to you, no, no pica, no pica, meaning it's not spicy. Which is not true. It is always spicy, so be very careful. Más agua, por favor. Más agua, por favor. Now, this can mean more water. This could also mean agua fresca, which is very popular here in Mexico. So something like horchata, jamaica. So, me das más agua, por favor. They might understand that as, okay, if you order jamaica, they'll give you more jamaica, for example. Now, I put a little underline here on the a, because if we take the accent off of más, it can mean yet. Or but it's not super common. So you almost always see the word más with an accent meaning more, okay? Más agua, por favor. Está rico, okay? If you're eating something and someone asks you, do you like it? You say, está rico, okay? It's tasty. Literally translating to, it is rich. Now we have this idea here in Mexico that when we talk about food, it's a temporary thing. So oftentimes we will use está, okay? Está rico, it's tasty. But, you know, it's not going to be tasty after I eat it because it won't exist anymore. Estoy lleno, okay? Once again, this is temporary. Estoy lleno. I am full, okay? So you eat a lot, you say, oh, estoy lleno, estoy llenísimo, you can say I'm very full. Or you can say estoy muy lleno. ¿Aceptan tarjetas de crédito? ¿Aceptan tarjetas de crédito? Okay, do you take credit cards? Now I underline this and because we're talking about the people or the store in general. We're saying, hey, do you guys accept credit cards? ¿Hay otro color? ¿Hay otro color? Is there another color? Now, "hay" is a very interesting word because it can mean is there or are there. Okay, so it can be singular or plural depending on the context. Now, the word "hay" actually comes from the infinitive verb haber, meaning to have or to be. Estoy buscando. Okay, I'm looking. Buscando, or I'm searching. Okay, estoy buscando. Now, this idea of the ando is what we call the present progressive in Spanish, and that is the English equivalent of ing verbs. Okay, looking, eating, laughing, crying. Okay, estoy buscando. I'm looking. Quiero probar esto. You can also say probarme. Quiero probarme esto. Okay, I want to try this on, or I want to try this. Okay, ¿tienes cambio? Do you have change? ¿Tienes cambio? Es muy caro. Es muy caro. Okay, it's very expensive. Okay, so depending on what we're talking about, if it's masculine, we'll say caro, but if it's feminine, we'll say cara. Okay, don't get that confused with la cara, the face. Okay, you can have both of those definitions depending on the context. ¿Puedo pagar con efectivo? ¿Puedo pagar con efectivo? Efectivo meaning cash. Can I pay with cash? And the answer is, of course, because here in Mexico, it's very common that everyone accepts cash. And it's always a good idea to have cash whenever you're traveling in Mexico. Solo estoy viendo. I'm only looking. Solo estoy viendo. Okay, I'm only looking. Once again, we have this idea of the ing verb, okay? Coming from the infinitive verb ver, meaning to see, which in this case could translate as I'm only seeing, or better in English, I'm only looking. Now, solo is the idea of only or just, okay? I'm only looking, or I'm just looking. Me lo llevo, okay? I'll take it. I will take it, okay? Llevo meaning I take, and then we have these two object pronouns playing together. This is the indirect object pronoun, and this is the direct object pronoun. The indirect object pronoun always comes before the direct object pronoun. We're not going to get into it in this lesson because it's going to be too long, but I have lessons about that on this YouTube channel and also on my website, SpanishNate.com. ¿Dónde está el metro? ¿Dónde está el metro? Where is the metro? ¿Dónde está el metro? ¿Cómo llego a? ¿Cómo llego a? How do I get to? How do I arrive to? How do I arrive to wherever you're trying to go? ¿Está lejos? ¿Está lejos? I say this all the time. Is it far? ¿Está lejos? No, está cerca. Está cerca. It's close, okay? Lejos, far, cerca, close. Next we have a la derecha, to the right. A la izquierda, okay, to the left. Notice how the Z is not is, okay, like a normal Z sound like we have in English. It's an S sound in English. A la is, okay, a la izquierda, okay, not izquierda, is, a la izquierda. Sigue derecho, keep going straight or go straight. Notice how derecho is almost the same as derecha. The literal only difference is the O. Now, we can also say something like recto, for example. Sigue recto, okay, keep going straight. But most oftentimes, I hear people say derecho. Uber drivers here in Mexico City are awesome. And I have learned so much about life from Uber drivers. And I've realized that there are two ways we can go about life. We can worry and choose to suffer, or we can say, hey, I'm gonna suffer, but it's okay, and I can make the best of my situation. Because I've seen drivers who, they're all in the same situation. They're all in the traffic and the honking and all that. But there are those who are positive and nice, listening to music, talking with customers, and then the others who are complaining about the weather and the traffic, and ultimately they have a bad time, whereas these guys have a good time. So I just want to mention that because it's true. Good reminder. ¿Cuánto tarda en llegar? ¿Cuánto tarda en llegar? Okay, how much longer till we arrive? Okay, ¿cuánto tarda en llegar? This could also mean how much longer until he arrives, she arrives, you arrive. ¿Cuánto tarda en llegar? ¿Cuándo sale el próximo autobús? ¿Cuándo sale el próximo autobús? When does the next bus leave? Autobuses en Mexico are amazing. We have ADO, ETN, ETN. We have amazing buses here in Mexico. Voy a la estación de tren. Voy a la estación de tren. Okay, so I am going to the station of the train or the train station. Now notice these are separate, okay? We're gonna see how these can end up being together in a little bit. ¿Qué haces? Literally meaning, what do you do? But what we're really saying is, what are you doing? Oye, ¿qué haces? Hey, what are you doing? Estoy trabajando. Oye, ¿qué haces? Estoy trabajando. I'm working, okay? Ando, remember, that is the idea of ing in English. I am working. Or estoy estudiando. I'm studying. Estoy estudiando. Voy al supermercado. Voy al supermercado. Notice how this is al. It's not a la. Why? Because supermercado is masculine. So we don't say a el supermercado. We combine a and el into al. Okay, so that is a plus el put together. Voy al supermercado. Now I also underlined super because it's very common that we won't even say mercado. We'll just say, hey, ¿a dónde vas? Voy al super. I'm going to the supermarket. Voy al super. Voy a casa. I'm going home. Voy a casa. ¿Qué planes tienes para hoy? ¿Qué planes tienes para hoy? What plans do you have for today? Okay? ¿Qué planes tienes para hoy? Tengo que ir al banco. Once again, we're seeing the al there. Tengo que ir al banco. So I have to go to the bank. Okay? And this idea of tengo que can confuse students. I recommend you look that up. Tengo que. Voy al gimnasio. Voy al gimnasio. I'm going to the gym or the gymnasium. Voy al gimnasio. Sometimes I hear in Mexico City people say gym. Voy al gym. Voy al gym. Voy al gimnasio. Necesito descansar. Necesito descansar. I need to rest. Necesito descansar. Estoy ocupado. Estoy ocupado. I'm occupied or I'm busy. Okay? Don't get that confused with preocupado. Estoy preocupado would mean I'm worried or I'm preoccupied, whereas estoy ocupado is I'm occupied or I am busy. Next we have ¿qué hora es? What time is it? Or what hour is it? What is the hour? Typically you should say es, but you can also say son and people will understand you. Son las 3 de la tarde. Son las 3 de la tarde. It's 3 in the afternoon. Son, okay, coming from the verb ser, meaning to be, and it's son because it's plural, las 3. Now we put de la tarde to clarify we're talking about in the afternoon and not in the morning. Because if I just say son las 3, it's 3. It's 3 o'clock. Okay, but is it 3 a.m. or 3 p.m.? So that's why I put de la tarde. Es la 1 de la mañana. Es la 1 de la mañana. Okay, it's 1 in the morning. Notice how now this is singular. It's not son, it's es. Why? Because la una, okay, that is singular. The only time that we ever say es when talking about time is when we use la una. That is it. So for all the other numbers, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on, it will be son. Son las 2, son las 3, son las 4, and so on. ¿Qué día es hoy? What day is it today? ¿Qué día es hoy? Okay, what day is it today? Notice how es can take on the translation of is it or it is, okay? It's not just is, okay? ¿Qué día es hoy? Es lunes. Hoy es lunes. Now, lunes, okay, is never capitalized, okay, along with the days of the week and the months in Spanish, okay? Why? It's just the way it is. And actually, the days of the week, almost all of them have to do with planets. It's very interesting. So, el martes, for example, means Mars. It is also Tuesday, okay, but it's actually Mars. Or el jueves, for example, which is actually talking about Jupiter. ¿A qué hora empieza? What time does it start at? ¿A qué hora empieza? What time does it start at, okay? Mañana, tomorrow, mañana, okay? Notice how la mañana can mean the morning, but it can also mean tomorrow, okay? It just depends on the context. La semana pasada, okay? La semana pasada, last week. Pasada in this case meaning last or the past week, literally, okay? So when we're talking about time, very common to use pasado or pasada. El próximo mes, next month, el próximo mes. Now notice how we have the little accent over the O. Why? Because like I've been saying, the emphasis naturally falls on a word in the second to last vowel unless we put an accent on it to change that. So this, without an accent, would mean el próximo, okay? But now we have the accent, so the el próximo, okay? The emphasis falling on that first O, okay? Nos vemos más tarde. Nos vemos más tarde, okay? I'll see you later, or yeah, I'll see you later on, más tarde. ¿Quieres salir conmigo? ¿Quieres salir conmigo? Now, this can have two meanings depending on how you look at it. If I were to say this to a woman, okay, and I say, hey, do you want to go out with me? Like on a date? ¿Quieres salir conmigo? Or if I'm saying to a friend, oye amigo, ¿quieres salir? Or ¿quieres salir conmigo? You want to go out with me? Like, hey, you want to go walk around? Or that kind of idea. Vamos a una fiesta. Vamos a una fiesta. We are going to a party. Or I could say to you, hey, vamos a una fiesta. Let's go to a party, okay? We can also say vámonos, okay? Which is actually a command in the nosotros form. So if I say hablemos de eso, that actually means let's talk about that, okay? Let's talk about that. Hablemos de eso, okay? It's a nosotros command. They're not common, but we do use them, okay? So vámonos, okay? We can't say vamos nos because the S kind of interrupts the nos, so we actually just cut it out and it becomes vámonos, okay? Vamos a una fiesta. ¿Quieres ir al cine? ¿Quieres ir al cine? Do you want to go to the movie theater? Okay, cine being movie theater. And once again, notice how cine is masculine. So instead of saying a la cine or a el cine, we say al cine. Me la pasé muy bien. Okay, I love this phrase. Me la pasé muy bien. I had a great time. Literally, I passed it really well. Okay, but it means me la pasé súper bien. I had a great time. Okay. Me is the indirect object pronoun representing me. La is representing the idea of, it could be la vez or anoche, for example. For whatever reason, whenever we want to say this, like, oh, I had a great time, we always use la instead of lo. Me lo pasé bien. People will understand you, but it's better to say la, okay? Me la pasé muy bien. Also notice how this is the preterite tense, okay? This is pasé, I passed, okay? So we have paso, meaning I pass or I spend, or pasé, I spent or I had, okay? Me la pasé muy bien. I had a great time. ¿Te gusta la música? Do you like music? ¿Te gusta la música? Now, notice how this is not plural. It's singular. Why? Because we're talking about la música. When it comes to the verb gustar, it is conjugated based off of the object. So in this case, it's singular. So we say gusta. Okay? The idea here is that, is music pleasing to you? Okay, that's kind of the idea. Gustar can be a tricky verb for us to understand as English speakers. Cuídate, take care. Cuídate. I literally said that to someone today. Cuídate. Cuídate, hermano. Hasta luego. Gusto haberte visto. Cuídate. Now, once again, notice how the accent is here. Why? Because normally the natural emphasis would fall here because it's the second to last vowel. So it's not cuídate, okay, which in Argentina that actually might sound correct. Cuídate, it's a cuídate, okay? The emphasis changes. And next we have suerte, meaning good luck or luck. You can also say buena suerte, but let's say you meet someone, you probably aren't going to see them again. It's normal to say suerte. Hey, like, see you later, good luck with everything. Suerte. All right, we are almost done. Estoy feliz. I am happy. Estoy feliz. You could also say estoy alegre. Estoy alegre, okay? I am happy. Estoy triste. I'm sad. Estoy triste. Tengo hambre. I am hungry. Okay, so in Spanish we say I have hunger. Okay, so in English we would say I am hungry, but in Spanish we would not say I am hungry. Okay, you don't say soy hambre or estoy hambre. You say tengo hambre. I have hunger. Just like you would say tengo sed. Tengo sed. I am thirsty. I have thirst. Tengo frío. Okay, I am cold. Tengo frío. Not estoy frío or soy frío. Tengo frío. I have cold. And you could also say tengo calor. Tengo calor. I am hot. I have heat. Estoy cansado. Estoy cansado. I'm tired. Estoy cansado. Okay? Estoy cansado. Estoy emocionado. Okay? Emocionado. Estoy emocionado. I'm excited. Now, don't get this confused with excitado, because that means you are sexually aroused. Estoy excitado and estoy emocionado are two very different things. Me siento mal. I feel bad, okay? Me siento mal, okay? Now, the me here can kind of be considered like it's adding extra emphasis. Oh, I really don't feel good. And that this action of feeling bad is happening to me. Me siento mal. Now, this could mean me siento mal, I don't feel good, like my stomach hurts, or me siento mal, like, oh, I feel bad, you know, that they did this for me, for example, okay? Me siento mal. Estoy enojado. Estoy enojado, I'm angry. Estoy enojado. And if you're female, you say enojada, okay? Estoy aburrido, okay? Estoy aburrido, I am bored. So hopefully you're not aburrido right now. Now I underline this because if we were to say soy aburrido, you can still say it, but the meaning changes. If I were to say soy aburrido, that means I am a boring person. Whereas if you say estoy aburrido, that means I am bored right now, okay? Well, thank you very much for watching. Gracias por ver el video. If you want to learn more Spanish, you can do so at my website, SpanishNate.com. And don't forget, look, I made a little smiley there, that you have a free PDF in the description so you can get access to all of these words and phrases with their translations, and we also will be including some bonus resources for you as well. Bueno, muchas gracias por ver el video, espero que tengas muy buen día y nos vemos muy pronto. Hasta luego.